Okay, so not only is Ben racing this year, but so are you guys and his brother. So what are y'all's, are you guys excited about tomorrow?
Yeah, very excited. Last year, Ben's brother was here just to watch, and he's a swimmer, college D3 swimmer, and like really wanted to do that swim. And so obviously it was too late last year, so we decided to get a relay in this year, and he's swimming, and I'm gonna bike, and then Ben's coach's wife, Orlando, is gonna be our runner.
And three things. Number one, I'm always love and just treasure the opportunity to be in the same race as Ben. Number two, I got a little bit of unfinished business from last year. I did it last year and had a few problems out there in all parts of the race. And then number three, this race is unlike any triathlon I've ever done. It is really unique, it's challenging, it's tough, and it's just scenically beautiful. So to just be here and be a part of it while Ben is wearing number one out there is really awesome.
So raising Ben, you know, as a triathlete, watching him train, watching him grow, how do you guys feel seeing him where he is now?
Very proud of him, super proud. He is a hard worker. He is a good man. I think he really appreciates the opportunity to do what he's doing. And you know, when he's in these races, it really, I think, warms both our hearts to see people coming up to him, asking to get a photo. He takes the time to talk to them, sign an autograph, do whatever. So it's just really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. It's completely awesome to have watched him grown into the incredible young man, or he is now in the sport especially. It's sort of amazing to watch little 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old Ben.
I always go into a race hoping that Ben's going to win, but he does really well on this course. He's feeling good, so I think he's going to have a great day tomorrow.
Time trial, and what do you think on wisdom for that course?
Yeah, I always ride my time trial bike. I have since 2016, my first time here. Ride a disc, a deep front wheel. It's just, I mean, that's what we always race on, and for us it's always faster, and we have electronic shifting, so we don't have to be reaching up in the aero bars at all either, like they used to. I know a lot of guys back in the day used to ride road bikes.
Where you're at in the boat.
Right, well, the passenger. So I'm going to take everybody through the race and what I think happened and all of that. But first I just want to clarify, it might sound like excuses that are coming out, but this definitely doesn't take away from Eric's win, Jason's second, Greg's third. Those guys performed on the day, and these are just reasons why I think I didn't perform well, and I'm not going to say like, oh, I could have been here or there, anything. And that's where I think some people, especially recently, which I've seen some other people, post videos, and one off the top of my head is Sam Long, who, didn't talk much about his crash before St. George and then afterwards, and people are calling it an excuse. Well, it's just a fact of something that he had to deal with. And I think the biggest thing is when somebody has an excuse, that's kind of, what people should give them, excuse my French, shit for, is if they say, if this didn't happen to me, then I would have won, or then I would have done this. And I hate that. And Andrew might have to censor this a little bit, because I feel pretty passionate about, racing and, being like doing hard work and not making excuses and just, performing on the day, and whatever happens, happens. So yeah, I fucking hate excuses. But I'm gonna go through and let you guys into the process of kind of how I go through a bad performance and why I think I didn't perform. But I'm going to reiterate that it doesn't take away from the podium at all, or anybody else who raced out there, because those guys executed, they showed up on the day, and they did pretty awesome. Like, they had a really strong race across the board, and kudos to them, congrats to those guys, because honestly, this course is amazingly hard, and it's racing well here is almost like a work of art, and it feels amazing. And when it doesn't go well, it's almost like pretty terrifying. So just kind of wanted to get that out of the way. I'm not going to convince some people that these aren't excuses, but wanted to try and clarify, because I think in triathlon, people are pretty quick to just jump at people and say, there's an excuse here or there. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I think everybody goes through their race and tries to see how they could be better, and that's what my process is. And again, just congrats to everybody else who raced. Like, no matter how you got through the race, it was a tough day. So starting with the week or two leading in, as you all know, I didn't really perform well in Chattanooga. For whatever reason, we thought it was just, didn't get the taper right, didn't get the rest right going in, and that's part of the race, and that's how it happens. And so we really tried to rest and taper for this race, and was feeling really good and hit my workouts I was supposed to. We had to make some adjustments because my wife got a flu virus. Wasn't COVID as far as we know in testing, and I stayed healthy from that. And on the back end of it, early this week, kind of picked up what I thought was just, kind of a head cold, and still I'm just kind of going with that. And honestly, it didn't affect me at all. My workouts were great. I felt good. I felt confident. I felt ready to go at Alcatraz. And honestly, don't know if that's anything that affected me, but it's something I dealt with and that I was ready to deal with throughout the race. So day before, felt really good. Was pushing power on the bike exactly how I wanted to. It felt easy to ride. Hit my run exactly how I was supposed to. Got everything primed. This morning, woke up. I even think my sleep metrics were all good, especially last night, which is really rare for pre-race. So everything was pretty spot on how I wanted it to. Was excited. Felt like I was dealing with the pressure well of trying to, go for my 5th win here. I love this course. It fires me up, and just really love hitting it. And the conditions today were not easy, but I love that. I love this race when it rains, when the current's crazy, when you get all sorts of stuff thrown at you. And we did right from the beginning. They moved us in closer to shore because of the fog, so the safety personnel wanted a smaller corridor to be able to see where all the swimmers were, from my understanding. And the current this year was the opposite of last year, how it's supposed to be, and really strong pushing out under the bridge the way we were swimming. So you could see it in the kayaks and how they were moving. And honestly, it's how Alcatraz is. We got ready to go. The dive, actually, I got a little bit caught off guard at the start, which didn't really matter at all. Got right onto Greg Harper's feet, and tried to hold on to him as long as possible. And he's a great swimmer, and made it maybe a third to half of the way before kind of losing his feet, and I could tell, I knew Eric Lagerstrom was on my feet, and then it looked like we had a gap to the rest of the guys' field of Jason West, Brent McMahon, and John Dawes, and kind of exactly, how I had imagined it kind of going. I thought on maybe a really good day, there's a chance of staying with Greg, but that went out the window real quick, and just tried to swim my pace, stay in the moment, just keep working through everything. It was about average, for an Alcatraz swim. I think I've never really felt great in the water here. I've always felt just all right, and it's just a hard swim to get ready for because there's no real warm-up or anything like that. It's a wetsuit swim, cold water, but I enjoyed it. Like, I love the swim here. It's awesome. It's a great challenge, and Eric and I swam pretty well to keep Greg just close enough and get a gap on Jason, who's obviously a very fast runner. Getting out of the water, the run to T1 is pretty long. It's about 800 meters to 1,000 meters, and I like to attack that a little bit, tried to push it. Was having a little bit of difficulty getting into a rhythm, getting going, but kept trying to push because, in past years, I've had Eric swim with me. I've been on my own. I've been kind of all different situations in the swim, and knew that Eric was in good shape, that he was swimming well, that he would probably come out of the water with me. So that really didn't, phase me too much. Got out of T1 relatively quickly, side by side with Eric. We were both, neither one of us wanted to give an inch. He ended up having a better mount than me and moving ahead, and rain was coming down at this point. I got my shoes in, took a couple seconds to try and recover, but I really like to hit Alcatraz hard first, especially the first couple miles into the first climb. And when you can hit that well, that's what I think makes or breaks the Alcatraz race sometimes. Like for me, when I hit that well, it sets the tone for the rest of the day. And took the lead in front of Eric, and then we were chasing Greg, had a decent solid pace to the first climb, went to go for the climb, and it's just, from that point on, had a hard time hitting the red line, and honestly, I don't really know why. I'm like gonna keep going through the race, but in talking after the race with my coach and everything, like I'm gonna get blood panels done and a bunch of tests just to see if there's anything off, or if it's just a training error we made or whatever. So but we were riding well. I knew that Eric was still strong on the bike. He's won this race before, and he did it, winning it against Andy Potts, who, is basically the best male pro, the most dominant male pro to ever race this race. So we traded off the lead a little bit. Honestly, he looked more confident than me on the bike, on the course, and he rode better than me for most of it. He took most of the lead, especially for the first 6 to 8 miles. Was better on the corners. After the race, he was saying he was riding tubeless at like 60, 65 PSI, and I had tubes and was riding about 85. But that dude is a great bike handler, and especially in the rain. And it was dicey. Like it was a tough course out there today, just with all the potholes, the puddles. I took the lead going up JFK Boulevard on the far end of the course, through the park there, after going downhill through the cliff side house and all that. And I was riding all right, was trying to put in a surge to just test Eric, see if those first few hills had hurt him at all. But he stuck right with me. Couple funny things, like just some of those potholes I was talking about with the lead moto or the photo moto, splashed me pretty good going through one of them, and Rocky Arroyo was on that moto, so I hope he got a picture during that, because I think that actually looked pretty awesome, but soaked me even though I was already drenched. It didn't wake me up enough to really have anything, and on the downhill, Eric took back over, and I did my best to just hang on and try and see if my legs would come around for the run, because one of the situations that I had visualized was me leading the bike with Eric and having to run side by side with him coming in. But in that last downhill, He took the corners better, had a bit more in his legs, combination of both. Gapped me by about 10 seconds, and coming out of transition, was just kept that and brought it up to maybe 15 pretty quick. Thought I could kind of build my way into it, just relax, let's get going, it's a long run. But credit to him, he ran super well, and I went backwards from there. And the same thing in Chattanooga happened to me here, where from my workouts, I know the type of run power that I can hit for, you know, a certain duration of time, specifically 70.3 racing for a half marathon, and which should translate, you know, at least to the Escape from Alcatraz first couple miles before you hit all the wonky terrain of the stairs, the downhill, the sand, and all that. And I mean, I feel like in Oceanside, I held just about 370 watts. And for the past couple races, getting off the bike, I've been at like 340 and just kind of decreased from there, which is wild because, you know, I should be at least 370, 380, which put me around, you know, 510, 515, 500. Should. So that obviously didn't happen. And that's part of the process of I'm not performing how I'm training in some of my workouts, and that's just something we have to figure out. And everybody just thinks, you know, you show up and you race, and that you just see this small little snippet, but it's this whole process of you have to train and you have to translate that to racing. And in between that, there's a taper, there's, you know, avoiding sickness, there's all these other things that add up. And if you don't check all these boxes, that adds up to, you know, me getting beat by Eric and Jason and Greg and, you know, anybody else who checks those boxes. So it's all part of the race. And this time I didn't hit those, and I suffered for it, like terribly. Like I was running, and it's just like I couldn't get my heart rate up, or my breathing wasn't, you know, I couldn't get it myself up to that certain level that you need to be at to be able to compete with these guys. And I was talking with Eric before the race, like, you can't be off at all. Like, the races are so competitive now, and everybody's figured it out that if you're off or you're B plus or whatever, you're just gonna get beat. And I got my ass handed to me today by these guys, and I'm disappointed in the performance I had. I know that I can do more, that I have more in me to show, and all I want to do is express my fitness that I've shown in training. Whether in, you know, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the mental side, physical, nutrition, taper, training structure. I'm checking all these boxes to make sure, and this first half of the year is about learning. Because I'm focusing on 70.3 basically only this year, as opposed to in past years doing all these different distances, and it's a little bit different for me. So honestly, right now, like, I've given you a lot of, you know, potential reasons for stuff for why it could have gone wrong, but I have no idea. I got to take the next week or so to really look through the data with my coach, get tests back, and just figure stuff out, figure out like what's not working and what is. And it takes some reflection. And right now it's, I think, pretty raw overall, because nobody likes to underperform. But that's racing, it's sport. It makes the wins that much more, like you appreciate them that much more. And yeah, it's been kind of tough to be close but not close enough. So at this point, like, yeah, it's just figuring that stuff out. And it's, yeah, I don't know, it's a part of sport. And I'll congratulate those guys again, because I mean, regardless of anything, like, Eric, great race. Like, he checked every single box. The swim, bike, and run were all super strong. Like, nobody touched him today. Nobody was close to performing how he did. Jason, as always, like, was exactly where he needed to be and run super well. And I'm super happy for Greg Harper too. That guy is coming to this race every year and laying it down on the swim, and he hung tough on the bike and had a solid run too. So all those guys, you know,
kudos to them. I'm not done. Like, you know, everybody keeps, success, sport, whatever, it's not a straight line, and this is just it. Like, it's easy to make these videos when the races go well, and I want to let you guys in on what happens, and I've got too much respect for this race to not, you know, make a video. Andrew was on the media boat and got some sick footage of the swim, and that's something that you guys don't usually get to see. Like, I love the Escape from Alcatraz race. I want to keep coming back for, you know, the entirety of my career, just because I respect this race so much, and just it holds a special place in my heart. And yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of good years here, but we start over next year, I guess, with it. So that's it. I mean, if you guys want to know more about, you know, the process, or if I skimmed over something and you're interested in how I analyze a bad race or a race, or analyze performance in general, because even when I win, like, I'm still looking at how I can be better, and nobody takes that as a fucking excuse when you win and you say, oh, well, I could have done this or that better. Like, it's just, you overcame something. So I'm happy to, you know, dive more into some of this stuff and let you in on it. But for me now, it's going back home and taking a mid-season reset. And the biggest races for me this year have always started with the PTO races. It's going to be super deep fields. You got to be ready for those. Big prize money, big stage between Canadian Open, Collins Cup, Dallas Open, and then you have the 70.3 World Champs. And that's basically a majority of my season for the next, you know, 6 months. So that's what we're going for, and that's what we're targeting. So back to the drawing board, redo it, and let's hit it.